Alright, all you moviegoers out there, welcome back to the Indy Radio Arcade. And Maestro's calling shenanigans with the fact that the coin landed sideways and we actually had to settle things with rock, paper, scissors, and that was the reason why I said it was tails during the intro, but he's still calling shenanigans. Don't blame me, Maestro, blame the floorboards. They always catch the coin and it lands sideways. I can't tell you what the coin wants to do. But besides spooky coin tricks that the Maestro thinks I'm able to pull off, folks, it's time for us to go to the film reel once again for another edition of the 3MR. And the movie we have up on the plate to continue this police summer shootout series is none other than From Paris with Love. Now, before we go into this movie review for this week, folks, there was a couple of guidelines for this film before we started. Not only it had to have been a film that was 10 years old, but it also had to be a film featuring John Travolta as some form of lawman during the film. And this was the best we could find that met those guidelines to as close to a T as possible. And another one that was extremely close was the taking of Lvl.110, but he wasn't a cop in it. But I digress, because the meat and potatoes of this said film, which features CIA operative known as James Rhys, going out of his way to become a Black Ops agent, only to realize that his dream of becoming a Black Ops agent requires him to take care of a special Black Ops agent that goes by the name of Charlie Wax, who is a little bit unorthodox in his Black Ops methods. And more unorthodox than James Rhys could possibly handle. And with those meat and potatoes out of the way, folks, what did I like about this film? Well, with the fact that this film went from 0 to 100 in about a good 19 minutes was one of the things that I absolutely loved about this film. Now, granted, a lot of people out there would say, oh man, that's just too much action to take place in under 19 minutes, but I dare somebody to watch the first 5 minutes of The Expendables 2 and then come back to me with this film. Because, yeah, people start getting taken out in The Expendables in less than 5 minutes from the start of the film. In this one, at least you got 19 minutes to prepare yourself. Another thing that I loved about this film, besides the action, was the fact that this movie not only included the legend himself, John Travolta, who's been in such great movies such as Broken Arrow, Wild Hogs, The Taken of Lvl.110, Saturday Night Fever, Grease, and even a movie that I also wanted to include known as Face Off, which to this day is still one of my favorite films of all time that he was a part of. That and The Punisher, which, according to the Maestro, and I will agree with him, also has his fair share of extreme action just like in this film. Then you also have Jonathan Rhys Meyers, who was also featured in this said film, who was in such great movies such as August Rush, Bend It Like Beckham, The 12th Man, and also featured during the hit TV series of Vikings, which, by the way, also had none other than Adam Copeland, better known as the Rated R Superstar Edge, featured in that said show as well. And oh, before we forget, folks, this movie not only featured Kasia Smutniak, who was a part of the remake of the movie Doolittle, but you also had Richard Durden, who was the TV director during the 1989 classic film of Batman, the one that starred Michael Keaton, for those who are confused which one I'm talking about. And another thing that we liked about this film was the end credits song that was featured during this movie that went by the name of Are You With Me by Vouts, which was a pretty cool band that we actually looked up a couple of their other songs, not half bad as well. And one of our favorite scenes during this movie had to be between two separate scenes during the said film. One that involved the Royale with cheese, that was actually featured during the commercial, which I really liked because it definitely reminded me of something out of Pulp Fiction. And the other scene that I loved so much had to have been where Rhys would ask Wax, how many more of these bad guys do we have to take out? And Wax would respond back by saying, well, according to the last census, 1 billion. I don't know why, but that was a funny response back that he decided to give to him when he tried to ask him how many more bad guys were left here in this said place they had to take out. And seeing the fact that we don't know how to review movies along the lines of Siskel and Ebert or any of those other famous movie reviewers that you know of out there, we say this. If you want to watch a movie where one serious guy teams up with a real wild card to try to earn his stripes in the world of black operatives, all for him to go on one crazy ride that he wouldn't expect, all while trying to get a Royale with cheese in the midst of all the gunfights that takes place during this said film, then I recommend you go out there and watch that flick. And I guess with that said, we might as well head back into the music, and when we return, we'll be back with more 8-bit action as the Indie Radio Arcade rolls on, right after a word from our sponsors. So don't run out of quarters just yet, folks, and stay tuned.